Hi, Scorpio clan, and welcome to February 2020. We are in a really powerful, playful, connective, expansive time of year. I always think of like the Aquarius and Piscean time of the year as a very, we're ascending into the last two signs of the zodiac. These are very philosophical. They kind of start to float up into this expansive bigness, right? And so it's a really powerful time of year, and depending on the sign and what's going on, that can be challenging or really uplifting. I think for you all, it's really interesting watching the sun transit through Aquarius and Pisces, because we start in this fellow fixed sign of Aquarius where it's all about like your internal world, your home world, your hidden world, your moon world, your home environment. And then it moves into Pisces, which is a really juicy, good, creative time for Scorpios. And what's really interesting is the sun is doing that arc, and Mercury is crossing back. So Mercury is doing a retrograde this month, and we're going to be in pre-shadow starting on the 1st. And most of the retrograde is taking place in your 5th house, your creative house of Pisces. So it starts on February 17th at 12 degrees of Pisces and goes until March 10th, and it'll go back a little bit into Aquarius on at 28 degrees of Aquarius on March 10th. So we have a theme here for February and March of this revision, right? And we do this a few times a year, so this is nothing new. If you're looking for insight into this specific Mercury retrograde, you can head on over to Patreon. I'm going to be creating one of those very soon here, so it's a great way to tap into some of these transits coming up. But as we go through this retrograde, I found that Mercury retrograde in water signs, you just had one, Scorps, in the fall a few months ago, but we've been having the Mercury retrogrades in water signs for about a year so far, and they are about us really being with ourselves, rather than it being about these technological snafus or scheduling snafus. It's really a time of softening. Stop trying to put your foot on the gas pedal, right? And have control and be neurotic. Take your foot off of that. Mercury retrograde in a water sign is going to be all about our intuitive wisdom. And that's what was really coming up for Scorps. It is in a fellow water sign, this retrograde. We are moving, a lot of energy is moving into Pisces, where you are getting infusions of really positive energy for Scorpios. So it's really great. But this is a month of softening out for you all. I think the message that came through for me was that there may be some really great yearning, some really big desire, and maybe you don't even totally understand what it is that you're hoping to get out of the atmosphere, out of the collective, out of your higher self. 4 of Cups. Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. That makes so much sense. Because the thing that I was saying is, you may have a great desire. You may have a really strong urge inside of you, and you may be feeling really hungry to get in there and get out there and go. But the message that kept coming through for me was soften up. 10 of Pentacles. Love it. And for those of you who are Abraham Hicks fans, she always talks about get off the subject, right? Like get off the subject. And I think that's maybe one of the most brilliant things we can do. And we have a lot of popular things that have been around for the last 10 or 15, 20 years about vision boarding and listing out everything you want. 3 of Cups. Easy energy there. And, being really dedicated. And I think Scorps, you do have a tendency to get very dedicated. You really dive deep. If you decide something is you want to do something, you want to create something, you really focus. Queen of Swords. Woo! Oh, interesting. Interesting. You guys got interesting energy. 4 of Pentacles. These 4s are really interesting because of the feeling that I was getting about Scorpios before we started today. This whole idea of being soft and getting off the subject and not obsessing about it is really strong here. But, we've been taught that to manifest something, we've got to be in alignment with it. We've got to be really envisioning it. The Tower. This card's been coming up a lot at the beginning of 2020. And I was just actually talking to Librans, your neighboring sign, and they also got the Tower. And I want you to understand that the Tower is about evolution. And I think Scorps, you guys can roll with this actually. 10 of Wands. Because you're a transformational energy. So despite your fixedness and your focus, you are a Knight of Pentacles. Okay. you are a sign of transformation, right? And there is a transformation going on here. But it's really funny because the note that I had was that owning your destiny doesn't always involve giant curveballs on the external. Sometimes it involves a lot of micro adjustments that add up over time. And this softness is meant for you right now so that your creative juices are coming from a soft place and rather than a harsh place. So I find the Tower really interesting in the context of all that soft energy I was just talking about and all of that energy of getting off the subject. So I keep trying to make this point, which is that we're often taught that to manifest, which is starting to be one of those words that's been so overused that we're all kind of like, all right, manifestation, yada, yada. We're taught to control a lot with it, right? But often our analytical, logical minds coming up with the schedules and this is what I'm going to learn this month and this is how it's going to happen, don't often have the tools to understand all the things that have to come together for our best good, right? And so getting off the topic helps all the rest of those mechanisms do their work. So if you have a great yearning for something, go focus on something else. If you have like a hobby that isn't like serious for you, but it's just really fun and relaxing, go do that more. Go chat with a friend about something. Go learn line dancing. I don't know, whatever your interests are, but here's the thing. I love these first two cards because the way they came out is so on the nose. The Four of Cups is all about... It's like that feeling, like the next thing needs to come, but you can't see it, and you don't know how anything's going to ever move again. And you're like, okay, what gives? What is any of this? Like, why am I sitting here waiting around like this? This is annoying. Come on, right? But the thing with the Four of Cups that I love is 4 is all about culmination. It's about rounding out. Something is completing, and it needs that moment to complete. And it also is about, don't obsess about this cup. Don't obsess about what's not there. Don't obsess about any of that. Just relax. Enjoy the fact that you are under this tree. And so that's where going and just playing with something that is totally off the topic of it. If you're looking for love, for example, and you really want that relationship, instead of putting more effort into like going on more dates and doing more, go dance classes, go do a creative project, plan a trip by yourself. Going sometimes in the opposite direction of what we think we're so obsessively about is actually helping us get closer, right? And that's the reverse logic of the Four of Cups, because the thing is, it's right next to the 10 of Pentacles, which is a destiny card, which is a long game card, which is about getting those things you want and building them into something meaningful and rich and long lasting for you, rather than it being about quick fixes and quick hits of attention. This is about the long game. And part of what's going on here is that if something hasn't come into your life yet, and you've been waiting around for a little while, wondering when things are going to shift or when it's going to make sense, and you're starting to feel like frustrated by that, it's because this stuff isn't meant to come in like a quick flash in the pan. This is something that has been building, and actually you've probably made it a lot further than you think you have on that road. You've amassed a lot of the information you needed, the experiences you were curious about having in order to get into this space. Now, I think you are going to be tapping into that. Here's what's really interesting. So I was just talking about this with Taurus, actually. The joy of missing out is a really strong theme in February. And I think when Mercury goes retrograde, another thing that happens is, our social lives do get a little wonky. It can get a little interesting with how we connect or don't connect during that time. A lot of us are doing some deep internal investigation, so it's not like a easy breezy time all the time. But here's what I'm noticing here. Look at this combo, because, okay, we've got social, 3 of Cups. We've got Queen of Swords, who's like, I have boundaries, I'm not doing that. And then we have 4 of Cups, which is like, I'm not allowed to do that. I'm feeling blocked. I'm feeling scared to let myself go. So you've got like 3 different voices here going on. Now, here's what I noticed. I think all 3 of these have a really important mechanism at work when we are talking about connecting to that 10 of Pentacles, right? So 3 of Cups is so much about getting off the subject, right? This is about like finding those places of joy where it's just easy. You have no resistance to it because you don't have a big story built in your head that it has to work out, or that you have to be the best at it, or that you have to have the best time ever in the world. You feel so light and soft about it that you just have a nice time. You just unwind a little bit. You read a great book. Yeah, knit a pair of socks. You go have, a really great meal with your friends, or you go on a long walk to a new neighborhood you've never been to. Whatever this Three of Cups is, this is easy, light energy, right? So that's important. Mechanism 1, right? Mechanism 2 for tapping into 10 of Cups, or 10 of Pentacles, I'm sorry. Queen of Swords, utilizing this voice, right? This is a throat chakra release card, and often she comes in when we need to set a boundary about something, when we need to be clear about what we don't want to do. So some things may look like they're fun and they're light and they're freeing, but they actually feel really annoying to you, or really heavy, or really repetitive, or not serving anymore. And you're not really feeling like putting your energy into that. So mechanism 2 is to let yourself miss out. Not schedule that in. Let yourself take a step back. Use your throat chakra to say, I don't need that right now. Right now I need to rest. And you'll find that there's a balancing out going on here with that. Mechanism 3 is a little trickier, I think, but this is an important review for, I think, the Scorpio world during this Mercury retrograde, is this Four of Pentacles, because once again, Mercury retrograde is all about reviewing and going a little internal and just taking some time to go over some things, right? It's a great check-in point. It's a great healing point. It's a fantastic check-in place. We need a few of them every year. So for you, one of the things that's coming up with tapping into your 10 of Pentacles, which is right there with you, is this Four of Pentacles. And the Four of Pentacles is where we are scared to make those moves, right? Because if we move, maybe everything will fall apart. And this Four of Pentacles is like a direct representation of any value or money thoughts we developed at a young age. Often it has a lot to do with self-esteem, self-value, this idea of having like a cosmic bank account that you deplete by being rash or careless. There's a lot of different ways that our fear of lack can come up, right? And when we know we're about to be shooting for new big things, and we maybe don't know all the technicalities of it yet, and we don't know exactly how it's going to look, this part of ourselves can often ping up and want to have a bigger seat at the table because it wants to make sure you're okay. Are you alive? Are you functioning, right? And so the Four of Pentacles is going to come in when we are feeling a little nervous about something big coming in. But this is the great thing, and this is why it's tool set number 3. This is where that idea of softening up and getting off the subject of what it is that you want is really powerful, because we do have some resistance against getting what we really care about, because that means that we're asking for something. We're really owning our space, and that flies in the face of any old patterns that have to do with you're not worthy of that. You're not allowed to get what you want. If you do get what you want, it's probably fake, or it's going to disappear, or it's going to end, or it's going to be awful, and you don't really deserve it. All of those things come up when we really desire something, which is why it's so helpful to soften into focusing on other parts of our lives, because what that does is it helps release those walls we built up, keeping it out of fear of getting hurt or damaged by that level of joy, by that level of freedom. Now, here is where the Tower comes in, my friends, because I was just saying, there's that quote, maybe you all know, the one that says, it's not about attracting love in and being magnetized. It's about no, it's not about breaking down walls. It's about what you're letting in, right? I'm telling that completely wrong. I think you all know what I'm talking about. Me and trying to quote things sometimes does not work out. But here's the thing. So the Tower is about re-establishing a new hierarchy in ourselves. This is a card that has everything to do with toppling the aristocracy, and it's a really strong, powerful card. This year, I have to say, the idea of toppling, damaging systems from the top is really strong, so it's just showing up as a collective device as well. But when we're talking about a reading like this, and we're talking about something like the Four of Pentacles, that fear, that holding on, and the Tower next door, this is about letting go of those old narratives about valuelessness, worthlessness, not being allowed. I'm breaking that open, because this guy right here is kind of like an aristocrat. Like he's kind of like bad King John, right? He's hoarding his money and he's sitting still and he's saying, I'm not doing anything. I'm not sharing any of my gifts. I'm not going to be seen. I'm not going to be shown. I'm just going to stay in this tower. And there's something going on here, Scorpios, with you, with all this soft healing, right? Getting off the subject, playing with your friends, tapping into some of this softer, juicier energy. That's actually the mechanism that is allowing you to free up this guy and this energy from that tower and to topple it. And that was why the note that came up, that owning our destiny and having big revolutions in life doesn't always look like catastrophe. It doesn't always look like cataclysms and storms, despite the drama of the tower. It's often the storms we have inside of ourselves. It's often the choices we have about how we treat our inner dictator, how we treat our inner rulers, how we treat our inner oligarchy. And if we're allowing them to be put to rest with loving kindness and gentleness, and in order to open up to what's next. Now, 10 of Wands is also here. So I will say that there is a theme during this Mercury retrograde and with the energies working with you. There's also a full moon in Leo, which has everything to do with, your bigger destiny in the world. And it's going to be quite powerful. Leo, Scorpio, we have a really, I'm a Leo, so we have a really, I don't know if I like to use this word, but we have like a very karmic connection in the sense that we really teach each other a lot about intensity and about clarity of vision and how we use that deep, profound loyalty in ways that are both good and damaging, right? And so the Leo moon always activates for Scorpios quite a powerful dialogue. And the 10 of Wands is always that invitation. Where are you putting all that loyalty, all that intensity onto things that aren't working for you anymore? Because once again, everything in this reading, all the messages that have been coming through for me about Scorpios, it's like putting your intensity on stuff isn't where it's at the moment, at least. I mean, sometimes this will be. It's about there's a part of Scorpios that's very much about this gentle warmth. And it's in the depth and the soulfulness that you have, right? And that's another one of your powers. It's not always about that fixed sign focus. Sometimes it's about this, like those deeper qualities that help you navigate the world and letting yourself tap into them. Now, what's really interesting is Knight of Pentacles, right? Because this guy doesn't move. And sometimes he gets a bad rap for being the guy who sits back and holds back. But he is an observer, right? The shadow side of this guy is he can turn into the Four of Pentacles guy and be too cautious and too scared of change, right? And there is a theme going on here with you all of being a little nervous about something changing. But the Knight of Pentacles is also, like I said, an observer. He's very good at looking at his surroundings and noticing and taking note and collecting the information, collecting the resources, and not pushing hard to make something be what he thinks it needs to be, but instead watching and taking it in and understanding that he is changing. And so there's something going on here with you all letting go of an old value system, especially, and also letting in the elements that want to be a part of your life, letting in a greater destiny, letting it speak to you. And it will be different. It will be different than anything you've written up for yourself. It just will. And that's a good thing, because it's that whole thing of you ask for what you want, and it's like there's only 3 possible answers, right? From the universe, from God, from higher intelligence, from however you like to connect with that, which is no, not yet, or yes, but it's going to be, or yes, or not now. Oh my God, my quotes for Scorpios today. Let's start over. So the 3 answers are, yes, you can have that, right? Or no, not right now, maybe in a few months. Or no, I have something better for you. And that's what I was trying to get at, is often it's the no, I have something better for you. And so we can't conceptualize what that better is going to be, right? So we've got to relax and let it find us. And when we relax, our beacon light gets really bright. So I wrote some words, some keywords for the month of February, and I put them in a bowl, and I'm going to pick one randomly for you all. I'm going to pick a word for Scorpio, so this will be our final note for the day. Tuned in. 2 words for you all. Tuned in. Like I said, because Scorpios, you are so sensitive, you are so psychic, you have the ability to tune in really easily. And I think trusting that mechanism is really important for you now. It's not about what that's going to look like on the surface, running around doing 100 different things. Tuning in is where you're going to get your best information. And tuning in will also help you do that softening to let something in, right? Rather than trying to smash down the wall with a jackhammer. This is about tuning in and just gently taking those bricks out, watching the storm, observing, paying attention, noticing where you get, physical symptoms of anxiety or resistance when you're met with certain people, with certain situations, or even when, you're fantasizing about what it is you want next and you notice your body gets rigid because you're scared to ask for it because you don't feel worthy. Take note. Tune in to your body, tune into your intuitive intelligence, tune into noticing that there is something going away from your life at this time. And it doesn't have to be about cataclysm, but it can be extremely influential and wild as this happens. Like I said, if you want more resources for the Mercury retrograde, for what we have going on with these moons, you can go check me out on Patreon. I would love to see you over there. I'm always trying to create useful tools for those of you who want just a little more checking in with weekly astrology, with the moons and with these important transits. You also learn more about my story. I will be continuing to slowly open up my calendar month by month. So if you're looking to work with me one-on-one, keep an eye on my calendar, keep in touch. You can find me on my website, SARAHTAROT.com. I do Skype readings and phone readings with people all over. So no matter where you are, we can work together. You can also find me on Instagram at SarahVerba. I would love to see you over there. And I'm wearing PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry. As always, go check out her Etsy shop. She's always making something new and beautiful. I will see you, my beautiful Scorpio loves, in March for more of this magnetic, powerful time of year, more Pisces season, more deep diving. It's going to be a really powerful month. But let's start here in February 1st, right? I will see you all so soon, and I'm sending you all my love.